Hello and welcome to Swiftly Spoken, a fan-made Taylor Swift podcast in which we break down her lyrics, deep dive into full album retrospectives, and theorise about what may be coming next. As always, we are your hosts Cameron and Lisa, and in this episode we're going to be giving our reactions to the standard 13 tracks of the Midnights album, as well as breaking them down and ranking our top 5. Okay, so we're going to go through each of the Midnights tracks in order. So we're going to start off with Lavender Haze. So what was your first thoughts on Lavender Haze? Obviously this is the opening track, so it kind of sets the scene for the rest of the album. And yeah, what was your initial opinion on it?
We got to keep in mind here, let's set the scene for everyone that we are waking up at a very, very early hour in the morning to react to this. So my first thoughts upon hearing Lavender Haze, firstly, it hit me like a truck because...
yeah.
We had no idea sonically what this was going to sound like. Mm-hmm. So I did feel a little bit overwhelmed. And I have to say that until my recent re-listenings to the album, that Lavender Haze wasn't a favourite at first. Like, I kind of wasn't into
really?
it. Which I know is a very unpopular opinion since people are absolutely loving this song. And I get it, like, for good reason. I enjoy it much more now. But as, like, the first moment of listening to this album, for me it was very overwhelming, I think is the word.
Yeah, it is quite hard. I think, like waking up so early and listening to an album, it's like not the best time to be listening to an album like 5 a.m. in the morning when you're very sleep deprived, barely slept. But yeah, no, I think I had similar feelings. I did quite like it on first listen. It was more like, oh, okay, this is good. Yeah, it felt very Lover. Initially on first listen I was like, gosh, this feels like a Lover track, like really was giving me Lover vibes. But I did generally really enjoy it on first listen.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was kind of like, oh, this is really cool. One thing with Lavender Haze that I did quite like was I did quite enjoy the bridge with the kind of talk your talk and go viral, I just need this love to spiral. I don't know, I just quite liked the fact that Taylor kind of referenced the fact that the relationship is so heavily talked about in the media, and there's this constant they're going to get married, and I quite liked that fact that she kind of referenced that. And even when she was talking about the album pre the release of Midnights, she kind of referenced that she's in this relationship that is just heavily discussed in the media and there's just ridiculous rumours. So I quite like that kind of reference, and I did generally enjoy Lavender Haze upon first listen, and like you've said, throughout listening it's definitely grown on me a lot more and has kind of moved up my kind of ranking of the album. But yeah, on first listen it was like, okay, this is a lot to deal with, we're now back in pop Taylor, right. We've come out of the woods, we're now back in kind of pop era. But I did enjoy it, I did generally quite enjoy it, and yeah, I thought it was kind of a good opener, definitely now.
Yeah.
And I liked the meet me at midnight, that was really cool, the kind of start, like meet me at midnight, and then she kind of got into the track. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I love a good kind of concept album and a good, concept kind of like, okay, we're going to start off like meet me at midnight and then get into the album. That was cool. That's
true, and I do agree with you in the fact that it does sound a bit like a Lover song. I know there's been a lot of remixes of I Think He Knows, which is one of my favourites from Lover, with Lavender Haze. For me, like I said, it was more of a grower, but now that it has grown on me, I'm finding myself liking it more and more with each listen. And I think it perfectly encapsulates the sound that you're about to be pushed into, and you do almost feel like you yourself are entering the haze of it all. It feels like a very hazy song. The haze itself can feel claustrophobic, it can feel overwhelming, but as Taylor is describing it, it's a very comfortable haze that she's in, and I also love those bridge lyrics, like talk your talk, say whatever you want to say, I am in my Lavender Haze. So yeah, definitely agree with you, and like I said, this one was more of a grower for me, but definitely sets a scene in a perfect way. I agree.
Yeah. And do you think, because obviously these are midnights scattered across Taylor's life, do you think this is a Midnight, say, like early Reputation?
Oh, I thought that this was more of a present ambiented song, to be honest
more of a
with
present.
You. Yeah, considering that she does, I mean, the most recent things in her life are the scrutiny towards her relationship, and a lot of people constantly commenting on
the engagement. Yeah.
Exactly, like whether or not it will happen, it won't happen, it should happen, it shouldn't happen. So I felt that this one was probably one of the most present ambiented song, in my opinion, but...
Yeah. No, I do agree with you. I do agree.
I guess any time really throughout their relationship is a
their relationship. But yeah, interesting. Okay, so the next track is track 2, which is Maroon. So obviously this one had quite a lot of... This one was one of the ones that I was most intrigued to listen to, I think because of the way that Taylor announced it, wearing the red ring. Obviously, it's kind of slight reference to the colour red, obviously Maroon. I was like, okay, are we getting another red track? Like, what's happening? And this track, on first listen, I loved. Like, generally, I was like, this is so cool. I loved the kind of dark... It had this kind of dark, well, hence the maroon, you know what I mean, like a darker red element. I just loved it. What was your kind of first opinion on hearing it?
Yeah, I agree with you completely there. Coming off of Lavender Haze, like I said, I wasn't complete. I think I needed a moment to wake up, but then we got into Maroon.
Wake up, yeah. Your eyes were still asleep.
Is this real? And then I got into Maroon and I was like, oh wow. Just like when the morning came and the beat, it hits you. It's just, the levels of... The semantic field of just the colour red that she gives us is just absolutely amazing. Scarlet, the wine, the burgundy, rubies, the sky, and then all leading up to Maroon, which, as you said, just in itself, the fact that this song is literally track 2, just like Red was, and it is red but tinged with all the darkness of it, of looking back and saying, actually no, that was pretty, it was pretty bad actually. It wasn't just burning red. It was pretty
toxic colour. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
because that's what has been always interesting, is Taylor's reference of the colour red, and that red is love, like, like Valentine's Day, like, love hearts, red, that kind of thing, but red is also warning and danger. And I think then what's quite interesting is she's added another thing of like its darkness as well, this kind of maroon, kind of like dark colour that it's just a different layer. She's added a different layer, I think, to the colour red, and
definitely
that time in her life and that kind of topic that she discusses. So no, I really, really loved this track, and the bridge, oh my god, I love
best
that
part
bridge.
For me, again, I agree with you that it's just the strength and the way that she sings that bridge, like she feels it so much. And I think
it's you can hear it in her voice, you can almost picture her singing it.
Definitely. I really do think this is the first song of something that we're going to see throughout the album, which is the effects of her re-recording and rehatching all of these emotions now that she is in a comfortable place to be able to look back and seeing them through the point of view of being in a mature relationship and in something that is much healthier. And the way that she's looking back and like, wow, the mark that you left on me. Wow, it's just so good.
Yeah, I love it. I just replay that bit over and over again, the bridge. I just absolutely adore it. And what's quite interesting is the clean version.
Yes.
Because obviously the explicit version is "That's a Real Fucking Legacy," which I just love the way she says it, just the grit in the way she says it. But then I love the clean version, which is "That's a Real Lasting Legacy."
Yes.
Which also has the same kind of oomph. Like, it doesn't have the same like kind of shock factor of saying the F word, but it does still have that kind of like, that was like you really, really like hurt me. You generally have made a massive impact, and looking back on it, I realised how strong that impact was. And I guess maybe that's why the darker colour is more intense, and maybe that's the kind of darker, stronger impact of the red. It wasn't just red, it was maroon, you know what I mean?
It kind of like
it's just really
that
interesting.
Much darker, that it lasts for that much. And I guess maroon, I kind of do associate more with like deeper blood and a stain, like the wine on the t-shirt. But I find it so interesting how the colour red has evolved throughout her lyrics. Like, obviously we had red, and then we had the other reference in Lover where it's like it wasn't red, it's golden. But after re-recording Red, coming back to this, it's just so poetic in the way that she revisits it but gives it this new spin once again.
Yeah. See, what's quite cool as well is that obviously the whole theme is midnight, and obviously midnight is dark. So it's almost like red at night, you know what I mean? Like maroon, it's darker, and I just love it. I really... You
can definitely really picture like a darker sky, like a maroon sunset leading into the night. And the effects, the lasting effects that it's had on her and it has on the night sky, and that definitely, so good.
Okay, so next is Anti-Hero, which is quite interesting because I guess we should have really known that this was going to be the single, because Taylor talked quite a lot about it. And like, because obviously she did Lavender Haze, Anti-Hero, and Snow on the Beach. They were the three that she did the kind of extra videos for chatting about. But anyway, so Anti-hero I was quite intrigued to listen to, because obviously she said about how it was kind of about self-pity and realizing and feeling that she's not really a person. So I was like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. And first listen, great first listen. I loved it. I loved the kind of more pop element. It definitely is the single. It's, you know what I mean? When you listen to the album, you're like, yeah, that's the single.
Yeah.
So how did you feel on first listen?
Well, it definitely surprised me, because when she's kind of describing it to you and she's like, yes, this is this guided tour through my insecurities and some of the things that really go on in my head. And I was thinking, oh my God, it's going to be such a stripped back kind of song.
Track 5. This should be track 5.
In a way, yeah, but she does it so well, where it's kind of like, she tells you all these things and then she kind of like just laughs it off like, oh, it's fine though. Which kind of is the irony of the song, right? But no, like you said, it works perfectly as like a lead or a first single. It really does. It carries this album, I think. It shows you the vulnerability of a lot of the lyrics in this album and shows you how shockingly confessional it is. But at the same time, it's just a bop. Like you said, it's just pop. It just, it really carries the themes of this album very well.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favourite lyrics is the kind of "I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror."
I've got that written down as well.
Kind of visual. It's just so sad. Like, that's such a sad. You know what I mean? The fact that you would prefer to basically torture yourself by looking at the sun, hurt your eyes, than you would look at yourself. I just think that's so sad that someone like Taylor feels that. And then the bridge. Oh my God, that was like a shock. I was like, oh gosh, this is mental. And then like she's laughing up at us from hell, which is such a cool kind of. I just love it. I really love this song.
Taylor, this song is it's her quirkiness bleeding into it. But the catchiness of the high, I'm the problem, it's me. It really works well. But then you get, like you said, I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be so exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it is good. It is. And then I guess the music video but what was quite interesting is obviously that it is so sad. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's really sad and it's really like, are you okay? You know what I mean? Like, is everything all right? And I wasn't too sure how the music video was going to go down, but then the fact that even in the music video she makes very, like, all these topics that are quite sad and quite heavy makes it quite light-hearted, and that's almost like the song. If you just were listening along in the radio and weren't really paying attention to the lyrics, you're probably like, oh, this is a fun song. Yeah. And then you listen to the lyrics and oh my God, this is really sad. You know what I mean? Like, oh gosh.
It really is.
So no, I really do love it.
Yeah, and it really, like I said, it sets the tone for Midnight's pretty well. She's laying bare a lot of things, like a lot of confessions that if they were set to a different kind of production and a different kind of sound, you might actually like really get scared off. Like, this is very deep. But because it's set to a certain sound, it does shift it where you have to be concentrated and be like, oh wow, you know, she just said that her depression makes her feel like, you know, she goes through all of these moments.
Yeah, the graveyard shift. Yeah.
Thinking of these people. I love that lyric. I think that's really cool. Yeah, all of these ghosts from her past. It also brings up another big theme in the album, which is like the effects that fame has had on her in her personal life, in her public life as well. Like how much size she takes up in a room.
Yeah, one thing that was a little bit of a shock was the sexy baby lyric. First listen, I was kind of that was a bit like, what? You know, like sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby. I was like, what? I was like, what is this lyric? And then obviously with kind of understanding the reason for it and that it has other meanings. What's the film again that it's part of? I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the fact that it's kind of a reference on the male gaze, and then kind of men's weird obsession with girls acting younger, is very interesting rather than just sexy. I was like, that's a really random way of describing people, a sexy baby, and I'm a monster. But now I find it quite a fun lyric, and it's kind of gone a bit viral, that lyric. Like, everyone's kind of joking about with it, but understanding its real meaning. Yeah. So I believe it's 30 Rock. Oh, yeah, that's it. But other than that, I kind of, even when I listened to it the first time, it is a shock to the system but that's the point, like the contrast between those two words, like they shouldn't be used together. But it's true, the pressure that especially women have to look and act this
childlike way. You know, you can't have one wrinkle, you can't look, you know, any older than 17 or 18 because no one will want you. And I get that. Sometimes I also feel like everybody is a sexy baby and I'm a monster on the hill.
And the monster on the hill. So... but no, I did that lyric was a bit of a shock on first listen, I'm not going to lie, but I've kind of grown to really love it now and it's quite good fun. And another bit that I quite enjoyed about the song as well is that she kind of very slightly, because obviously previously with like Taylor singles, what with like We're Never Ever Getting Back Together, Look What You Made Me Do, Me, we have the kind of talking, she like talks in the bridge slightly, and with Anti-Hero she kind of does that like kind of more like it's me right like towards the end of the bridge after she does the
everybody agrees,
it kind of breaks down agrees. A bit and everybody agrees with like a snake hiss, and then she's like it's me, hi. And so I quite liked the kind of return back to the kind of lead single having a talking bit in the bridge, which was quite cool. I was like, oh, this, you know, I mean, we've kept the tradition, which is good. But no, I really loved Anti-Hero, and I think that, well, it's doing really well as a single, like really well.
I think she's done a brilliant job marketing it. I think it's like the challenge of the I'm the problem, it's me. And it's really good.
It's the most TikTok perfect kind of song ever, like, because like that little bit of I'm the problem, it's me, that's all I've really seen on TikTok for the last couple of days. And that challenge is just perfect. So they've done a really good job of kind of marketing it. And I think it's a great lead single. Out of all of them, definitely the lead single. Like, upon first listen, it made total sense why that was chosen. Okay, so next is Snow on the Beach, featured Lana Del Rey. And would it be bad if I said worst song on the album?
No! Don't go there.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Listen up.
Yeah.
Don't be saying that. Right, so I'm a defense squad this for this song. So, right, there's a lot to be said for this song, right? I think we should start off with the elephant in the room, or the person who wasn't really in the room for too long.
In the room.
So Lana herself, obviously a big thing that everyone's talking about is that even though Lana is a feature, she has been relegated to more of a backing vocal type of feature, which we thought we kind of had headed away from with the Phoebe Bridgers. Nothing new, she got such a big part in that song, and now to go back to more of a, you know, you're there but you're not really
you're
there.
All over me, Maren Morris kind of thing.
Which I have.
It's just the thing that I never understand is that it's like then you have Cowboy Like Me with Marcus Mumford on it,
and it's
who
not
you can hear so clearly, and he's not deemed a feature.
I know.
It's so weird because you can hear him just as much as you can hear Maren Morris and Lana Del Rey, but he's not deemed a feature when those two are. It is strange. It is strange, and I think that's the problem with it. I felt like I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not like a hardcore Lana Del Rey fan. I've listened to a couple of songs here and there and enjoy a couple of songs here and there. But I was just felt a little bit cheated and a little bit disappointed.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, that's really exciting. Taylor's such a massive fan of Lana Del Rey. This must be such a moment for her to feature with her. And it just kind of felt like, I was just kind of like, oh, that's such a shame. You know what I mean? Because it could have really been a moment if those two properly had a Nothing New Phoebe Bridgers kind of feature. And the way that they play each other off, especially in the bridge of Nothing New, is so gorgeous and so clever. And their vocals just like sync perfectly. And I was hoping kind of for a similar thing here with Snow on the Beach. And it just, I don't know, I felt a little bit let down. I think that's maybe why I'm being a bit harsh.
I understand a lot of people, you know, they did think the same thing, especially when they first listened to it, and they was like, oh wow, you know, it's not really the biggest of features that she's given. I have heard people listen through, I think it was the spatial audio tracks, I'm not sure if, you can hear her much clearer in those tracks, which is nice to listen to. However, I can excuse it, because the lyrics are just amazing. The production is absolutely beautiful. It sounds like snow falling. Jack, you did so well. He did so well. It sounds like snow is falling. It has the little like jingle bell Evermore-y sounds to it. And I do really think like lyrically, it's so folkmore. It is really, really folklore Evermore-ish level 100%. Of lyricism, in my opinion. It's beautifully written. The words that she uses in it, like who would ever sing Aurora Borealis green in a song?
That's the thing. It is so gorgeous. The only thing that I would say is weird but fucking beautiful. I don't know, something about it just, I wish that the clean version was the standard. because I actually prefer that.
So in the clean version, it's weird, but it was beautiful.
It's beautiful. I think that's just because it's such a gorgeous song that the F-bomb just kind of like is a little bit whiplash. I think that's my problem. I think over time I'll definitely grow to appreciate this song. I'm probably massively regret saying it's the worst song on the album.
No, I mean, when we're classifying these things, and when we do talk about our opinions, obviously there are personal preferences that everyone has. And I think we can both say that when we say like our least favorite on the album, it's not that it's not a good song, it's just that through
it's a great song, I love it and I've listened to it, but for me, I don't know, it's not giving it, unlike songs like Maroon, like we've said, that just, I just constantly want to go back to. It's just not hitting for me.
I am the defense squad for a couple of songs, I know that today, but we'll get to them. But we'll get to them soonish, but I do really like this song just because I do find the lyricism is so Evermore-ish. Like it kind of could have been written around. To be fair, you've got some titans of lyrics. Sorry, you've got Lana, Taylor, Jack, all together in the same room.
Well known.
It's just like every line for me really works. Like, life is emotionally abusive and time can't stop me quite like you did. Oh my gosh. And then obviously Stars by the Pocketful. Who comes up with that? Who just says that?
And the thing is, I didn't even realise it did snow on beaches until
you never think about
the video,
it, do you? You just never think about it.
I've never really thought about it. But it's interesting that it actually does happen, because I didn't realise that happened. So I learned something new as well, that it does actually snow on beaches, because I thought, that's a really gorgeous lyric, because that must be so rare, but it does happen.
It's one of Taylor's ways of describing something like that's actually like, you know, so normal and something that I guess happens on a daily basis or a seasonal basis in this case, but she describes it with such wonder that it is so like delicate. It's so like dainty how she's describing it. And like I said, with that production, the snow falling, for me it is really... It's not in my top 5 though. I am defending it a lot for it not to be in my top 5, but I do think it is nice. And I think it was built up quite a lot when people didn't hear that feature that they may have wanted. It was a bit striking,
Next is track 5, which is obviously a very infamous Taylor track placement, because obviously track 5 has always been the kind of most sad, vulnerable song on the album, is placed there. And for Midnights, that track is You're On Your Own Kid. So obviously this had a lot to live up to, with some titans of track 5. You've got, My Tears Ricochet, All Too Well, Dear John, some pretty big old tracks in there to compete up against. And personally, I do like this song, I do like it, but I don't know, it just didn't feel track 5.
Yes, so I am here to convince you that this song
that it is a track 5.
Track 5. Yes, I've come prepared. I've come with receipts.
Because there's not another song on the album that I think would take its place.
Okay.
But for me, I don't know. Okay. I just felt a sense of, this doesn't feel track 5-y.
Firstly, as you say, there's not really a song that could replace it, I don't think, on this album. I was thinking perhaps Labyrinth, because that is very emotionally bare, shall we say, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Something that you've already just said is that there's so much pressure behind a track 5. She must feel absolutely full of anxiety when it comes to placing something that is going to be so highly scrutinized by...
and compared to all of her previous work.
You know that maybe the whole album won't be compared, maybe a track opener won't be compared, at least not in the same way, but you know that track 5 has kind of been put to this status of like... the last track 5 that we got recently is All Too Well, and the All Too Well 10-minute version, which heightened it even more. So you're already kind of setting yourself up to this amazing standard. However, I think that we can classify this track 5 as the second type of track 5. So in our track 5 episode, we kind of spoke about how the first lot of track 5s, like basically until 1989, were very vulnerable and emotional because they were breakdowns of relationships or of really raw moments of ending something, whereas from Delicate onwards they kind of explore different things, different types of vulnerability, and I think that's where You're On Your Own Kid comes in. It explores a very different kind of vulnerability. It explores, really for me it feels like that this track 5 is kind of wrapping its arms around all of the previous track 5s and being like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. And that's how I kind of come to terms with it, as like, I can see it.
I love that kind of bridge / ending where it says, like, make the friendship bracelets. I really, really do love that bit. I think, again, it's one of those ones that's really, really going to grow on me and maybe hasn't just hit me. I think, like you said, I think there's so much hype around these kind of ones. It just wasn't maybe what I was expecting. And where do you think as well that this is placed in terms of the scattered across her life? Where do you think You're on Your Own, Kid? I'm
feeling that it would be more of a recent one because it's definitely... And that's what's so touching about this song, I think, for me as well. We're going back in from right to the beginning, right? And you're seeing her in all of these pivotal moments in which she's comparing herself to everyone around her and feeling inferior to them. In a classic track 5 kind of situation, you're searching for someone that you care so dearly about, and then you get to them at a party, or in this case, the setting is at this room full of people that you think are kind of cooler than you, and then you get there and you realize, oh, they don't care about me, like they're with someone else, or they just really don't care about your presence, which is excruciating in itself. And then we get like the music industry part of it. I do think it's
and
more
you realize that there's hundreds of millions of other people that want the same job as you to be a singer.
Exactly. And how lucky
like your dreams aren't rare.
And I guess the bridge kind of sets it more in the future, where she's seen all of the things that she did, which, again, excruciating lyrics. I hosted parties, I starved my body. Like I'd be saying...
Yeah, see, that was really sad.
Yeah. And I do think probably just because of the jokes weren't funny, I took the money. I think that maybe we're situating this probably just after her leaving Big Machine. Bridges burned, pages turned. Maybe a bit further in the future, Lover era, perhaps, when she was kind of looking back and being like, you've got to enjoy these moments, even though you know.
Well, yeah, maybe when her masters were sold as well, like, you know, I think it is, because it's almost like she's talking back to herself. It's almost like a kind of never grow up kind of thing of like kind of looking back on your life and then almost talking back to yourself, or your younger version being like, you can do it, you'll be fine, you know. But I don't know, and I feel really bad being like, didn't stick out to me in terms of track 5s, and I don't think it's her worst. I do not think it's her worst.
Right.
That belongs to another song about someone that with a bow and arrow, but personally it's not my favourite. I'm gonna get so much hate, but it's not my favourite. I think unfortunately when you're up against titans like Tolerate It and My Tears Ricochet,
I get it.
Again, maybe You're on Your Own, Kid. In a couple of months, I'm going to be like, I'm such an idiot. Who was I? Why did I think that? It's the best song ever. It's her best track 5. All Too Well can sit down, you know.
No, I think it's definitely a very different track 5. She took it in a different direction. And apart from that, again, like we've been saying, these are just our opinions. I love to defend songs in general. That doesn't mean that they're my favourite songs at all. I like to debate about them, that's true, but it's our opinions in the end, and you guys, I'm sure you have controversial opinions about this album as well, which is fine. In the end, there's something for everyone, I think, to be found.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm sure...
my opinions on music are always controversial.
That's
I
fine,
always
though.
kind of take a very left field.
That means that you know what you like.
I think it's one of those songs that kind of is one of those songs that, as you go through life, will probably be your... Maybe when I'm slightly older and stuff and I look back...
Maybe when you're my age.
No, that is really true. Yeah. Maybe when I'm Taylor's age. Maybe when I'm 32, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely...
You should have made those friendship bracelets,
I was driving in the car and I was listening to this one and I was just like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. And I don't know, that makes me sound very old.
It's probably a great car song, actually.
Yeah.
So next, I guess, then, is track 6, which is Midnight Rain, which I love this song. When it first started, I was kind of like, oh, because it kind of starts off with her kind of voice slightly distorted, but I love this song so much. Like, it's just so cool, and just kind of this kind of like slightly sultry, dark. I just love that this album is kind of more darker pop.
Definitely.
You know, it has elements of 1989 and Reputation, but in a kind of darker, more mature kind of way. You know what I mean? I don't know,
both sonically and lyrically, definitely.
Definitely. And I love Midnight Rain. What's your opinion on this
same
track?
for me. Anyone who disrespects Midnight Rain can catch these hands, because it is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. I know there's been people like, oh, I don't like the little distorted voice. No, the distorted voice is amazing. That the vocal effect that is put on it just makes the moment in which she actually sings that part just
so much
better, so much sweeter. Like, you get to it and you're like, oh yes, she sings it herself. Oh, it's
Definitely.
so good.
I do love it.
I could go on about this song for a long time. I think this is the song, like we were speaking about, where she looks back, like where the midnights are. Obviously this is a recent midnight, but I think it's the one that looks back furthest in time, which is something that we were discussing together. And I love something that you brought up, which was kind of like the parallels between this song and 'Tis the Damn Season.
I think yeah, and you also said about We Were Happy.
Yes.
I think that it kind of,
You Were Gonna Marry
it's
Me.
almost like, yeah, You Were Gonna Marry. It's like her kind of, when she was back at home, the kind of picture perfect, and, you know, this perfect town, that for some people, that's perfect for them. That's a dream. That's what they want. They want to stay in this small town, kind of live this perfect, kind of picture perfect postcard life. But she wanted fame. She wanted to move on. She didn't want to be a bride at that point. She saw her life as something more, and then kind of moved on, chased fame, and then is looking back on what her life could have been like.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then the kind of reference to, even then pulling in things like you said with Dorothea, of like, he only thinks about me when I'm on TV.
A tiny screen's the only place I see you now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that kind of thing of like someone in a small town that decided to continue the small town life, compared to someone that decided to go for the big city lights, chase fame. And I love Midnight Rain.
Definitely.
I just absolutely love it. And I think, yeah, people are like, maybe, I think there's a lot of discussion about what this is about, Midnight Rain. And personally for me, I feel like it's definitely very reflective on like pre-fame Taylor. And I think you persuaded me heavily, because you said, and I was like, oh my God, it opened my eyes. And I was like, yes, it is. Like the way that she describes the perfect town, and that wasn't something that she wanted. And then kind of, you know, I just love it. I just love this song. And this one is definitely one that's been on replay a lot. Like, because now I'm moving into the phase with listening to this album of, because originally it's all chronological. I only listen to it chronologically. That's how I'm listening to it. That's how you're supposed to listen to it. And then maybe after my like 20th play, I'm like, okay, now we can start to shuffle. And then when you shuffle, that's when you realize what you're into, because you're like, oh no, I want to get to this track. And Midnight Rain is one
so
that
I'm
is
definitely
repeated.
not there. Yeah, I have only been listening in order at the moment. I haven't been going about.
Oh no, I'm in the shuffle.
Wow, you're ahead. But I definitely have been going back to this one. Like, I go in order, and then some of them I'm like, oh, I want to get to the next one, and the next one is this one, you know? So yeah, I definitely see it. I keep coming back to this one as well. My favorite lyric: a deep portal, time travel, all the love we unravel, and the life I gave away. Like, just seeing how fame has altered her life, just the way that she says that, like what she could have had, is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, I really, really love the lyrics on this one. Okay, so next is track 7, and is Question. And obviously Question, which is really interesting, kind of interpolates or uses part of Out of the Woods with that I Remember at the start, which first I want to kind of discuss about that, because obviously Taylor would not use the I Remember from the stolen version of Out of the Woods. So I'm guessing that is confirmed that Out of the Woods has been re-recorded, because surely that's the Taylor's version. Like, I can't imagine that she would...
Yeah, that is very interesting, that it seems like it is the re-recorded version that would be featured. However, Jack and Taylor are the only writers of Out of the Woods, so they would be the only people that you'd have to consult with to be able to use Out of the Woods in another song. True. So either way, it kind of works. Either way, using Out of the Woods very blatantly in this song, like the I Remember, the oohs in the background, that's a brave choice, because you're like pointing to who this song is about.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, is this this one is kind of slightly more clear maybe then of who this is referencing, because obviously Out of the Woods is for a very specific relationship.
I can't believe she just did that.
Question.
She literally just put I Remember there.
Honestly, some of the stuff she does on this album, I'm like, for the person that for the last 2-3 years has been very much like, I'm going to write fictional kind of stories so that the tabloids don't write about my life, and then she's kind of like writing these very clear, you know, who this is about, you know what I mean, these very kind of, I don't know, Question and a couple of later ones, especially the next song, Vigilante Shit, like that is just like, oh, she was not holding back.
Good for her,
so,
honestly, like, good for her.
100% go for it. People say enough stuff about her, so she can say whatever the hell she likes about other people.
Yeah,
she never says anything horrid anyway.
No, especially this song, like, there's nothing wrong about it, so it's fine to blatantly call out who it's about. But honestly, I do really love that about Taylor. Like, I love how she was, you know, prior to kind of having to dial it back just because the culture around her became so absolutely toxic. I always really did love how she would just blatantly drop a very specific lyric or a very specific reference.
Me too.
Because it really is like reading a diary, and I find it so...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's so great.
By the fact that she makes it so more personal, it makes it more relatable, because then...
It's weird, but it's
so personal that people... Yeah, it's strange that, the more personal her songs are, weirdly, the more relatable they are, because it's like other people have experienced that and gone through similar things with similar people. But no, I love Question, and
Me
upon
too.
first listen and re-listens, I really, really love it. Again, I just quite like the way she says, like, can I ask you a question? Have you ever had someone kiss you in a crowded room? I don't know, it's just quite cool. A bit like with Midnight Rain, the kind of way her voice is and the production, I just love it. There's something quite addictive about this song, and I keep going back to this one, definitely.
I do. I find that I keep going back to it. It's really spectacular. It reflects the way that she writes is so good that obviously in this one it's much more purposeful, but the way that the themes that, you know, appear on it and the way that it's written is so reminiscent of 1989 that it works so 100%. Well. Like, it works that it is a continuation in a way of that, because you're reflecting upon that part of your life on a midnight where you're awake and you're like, I wish I could just, you know what, just one thing though, one more thing, by the way.
Yeah, can I just ask you one more question?
Yeah. It's just so good. The meteor strike, the way that she's like re-going through these themes that she has already explored, but through this different lens, it's just so well done.
It's like looking back on it in a more mature, you know what I mean? In
Definitely,
a very kind of
definitely.
More life experience, more maturity, and kind of being like, oh, okay. And I think that's what's I'm loving about this album so much, is that there is this element of growth and, you know, telling these experiences from just more growth. You know, like with Maroon, it's just, there's more life experience in comparison to the person that wrote Red, and it's just, I just love that with these, and I think Question is a great, and even with, like, you know, Midnight Rain, the fact that she can look back and be like, yeah, I didn't want that life and I walked away from it, but there was nothing wrong with that life, and I could have, what would have happened if I had decided that actually that life was for me. So no, it's interesting, and I think Question is a good, and I think that's quite a recurring theme through Midnights, is this kind of growth. And even with, like, You're on Your Own, Kid, you know, the fact that she's kind of looking back on her life and being like, look, you're on your own, but you can do it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
So I really, really love that. And I think that's a recurring theme, definitely, in Midnights, is this kind of, like, reminiscence, but with a massive sense of maturity and way more life experience than the person that originally wrote those songs, you know, in terms of the midnight that it's referring to.
Yeah, and it's something that she's mentioned about, that there is more space between certain things so she can re-explore them, like I said earlier on in this episode, with a more kind of clearer head and mind, and go through them not so much in that moment but reflecting upon that moment. So yeah, I definitely see what you're getting at there. And another interesting thing about this song in particular, which again makes it very 1989-esque, is that there's a moment where she, you know, in the last kind of chorus, when she says and 15 seconds later they're all clapping too, and everyone claps,
yeah,
and the people who are clapping and doing the clapping are Dylan O'Brien, Jack Antonoff, Taylor, Austin, her brother. And I was like, this is so 1989, where you literally can find Taylor sampling her heartbeat and stomping on the floor to add...
Stomping,
like that little clapping part, which is literally her clapping with her group of friends while they're recording, is just so... Yeah, just those little details heightened it even more.
Yeah, definitely. That's really funny that is definitely like the way that 1989 was produced, even though it's like this very pop-heavy synth album. A lot of the kind of sounds are very natural sounds that have been made in the studio with, like you said, stomping and heartbeats. So yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So that's really funny that's weirdly very kind of reminiscent of the 1989 album.
Also, I love the first appearance in the Taylor Swift musical universe, like the first official appearance of He Who Should Not Be Named, is to call him the dickhead guy. that's amazing. Like, here's your introduction to the musical universe. You're the dickhead guy in the story. Good.
Yes. And what's quite interesting as well is the clean lyric of the dickhead lyric. Is just, I hate, in comparison to Song on the Beach, where I love the clean lyric over the explicit lyric, the replacement of dickhead in question is meathead, which just is such a horrid, it sounds so like American, it sounds so like American film about a high school calling someone a meathead. I don't know, that is such a horrid word. I just cannot stand it. So I would definitely prefer to keep the explicit lyric over meathead. It's just, it cringes me out. I can't deal with it. Next track is Vigilante Shit, and this one, weirdly, I think you said about this, is that this one is basically what people thought Karma was going to be.
Yeah, it really is.
I was in shock. First
Catches
listen,
you off
even
guard.
the opening lyric, draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man, and then I was just kind of like, oh my god. First listen, I was like, what?
You did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them.
The worst of them. It was like,
it just gets better.
Reputation, ready for it. I did something bad, Taylor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still alive, and she's in Vigilante Shit.
Yeah, she got that character back out, and she said, you know what? I've got more to say. Once again, I've got something else to say. And she's right for that.
Taylor said as well that, like, revenge was a theme on this album, and, like, plotting revenge and wanting to get revenge. And I think Vigilante Shit is the, like, epitome of that. And it's incredible. What were your kind of first thoughts and current thoughts and favourite lyrics?
Okay, so first thoughts, mind blown, definitely. I think, like I said, it catches you off guard, or at least it caught me off guard, because I was waiting, I guess we all were waiting for Karma to be what this is, like you mentioned. And then you get to this first, and you're like, wait, but this isn't Karma. I'm listening to I'm not, and it's so good. Like, honestly, I love it. I love how, like, the choruses don't have the name of the song, and then you get to that last one, and then
it makes it more kind of distinct. It almost stands out more, doesn't it, by doing it like that?
Yes, I love that. I love when artists do that and switch it up, like she did with State of Grace. It's reminiscent, obviously very different, but reminiscent of that. She does it as well in Labyrinth in a different way, but in this one you get that last verse where she says, she switches up, I don't dress for villains, I don't dress for innocents, I'm on my vigilante shit again. It's just so great. I love the beat to it. It makes you feel like you're about to, I don't know, go tell some crimes to the FBI. I don't know whose crimes I'm telling.
And then the fact that the FBI even, like, tweeted about it, which I think is hilarious.
Iconic.
It's so cool. And then the, like, picture me thick as thieves
with
the ex-wife, and then giving the ex-wife a letter that basically contains, all the evidence against their husband and them, and then basically Taylor being the reason why they've split up and why the ex-wife is living her life now, because she's got the kid, she's got the car, she's got the pride, and she's now dressing for revenge. And guess what? We're now best mates. I just love it. I think it's so...
It is.
And I think we all kind of know who that is referencing.
Yeah, I think so.
Which was a shock. I was slightly surprised.
I mean, obviously, it is a very caricature-esque song. Obviously, none of this really happened. I don't think. But
you never know.
You never know with Taylor. She is kind of cracked.
Mad Woman.
Yeah, she is kind of cracked.
She laid it out. She laid it out in Mad Woman. That was enough evidence. That was the envelope.
Honestly, it was. Oh my god, you're right. But I don't know. But it's just her best Reputation era scheming Taylor. You know, it's a solo write as well. So
ironically, it's
that she wrote
it's more
this.
Reputation
than
than
Reputation. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. It's what everyone expected Reputation to be. There are tinges of it in Reputation of this character. But no, I think I love this character. Like, I love her. More of her,
too.
Please. It makes you feel like so powerful listening to it, definitely.
Oh, 100%. And talking about clean versus explicit lyrics, I love... rather than when she says shit on the clean version, she says like vigilante shh,
and it kind of like,
and it's just this kind of it's this almost like this like being hushed, which is just gorgeous,
which is great because it really plays into like, this is all hush hush, this is me creeping in the shadows, kind of, I'm on my so I definitely do recommend to anyone who hasn't listened to the clean versions to give them a listen, because some of them are heightened, others aren't really, but then it gives you another perspective on the swear words in the lyrics. Again, with this one, in the chorus though, where it says I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends, unfortunately she just says I don't start it, but I can tell you how it ends, which for me was kind of a downgrade. But but the part that you said, upgrade, definitely. It's just like so like hush hush.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the next track is Bejeweled, and again, on first listen, weirdly, these two synced into one for me. I don't know why.
Oh wow, they're so different.
Vigilante Shit into Bejeweled. Yeah, I don't know, I think, because at first I was like, oh, what? But now they are totally different, and I don't know why I felt like that.
Right.
But I love Bejeweled. This feels so 1989 for me. Like, it feels like a 1989 Vault track.
Really?
And the way that Taylor's kind of described, I don't know why, it just does. Like, it just feels like that final chorus.
I guess glitz and glam.
Just kind of has that style, that kind of like strutting, with style.
Right.
The chorus has got that kind of strut.
Right.
Where even Taylor said that it's like perfect for a catwalk. So is Bejeweled, like that chorus. You can just imagine strutting down a catwalk. And I love this track. I really, really, really love it. I love that Taylor kind of has said that it was almost like about returning to pop music and her kind of fears of like, oh my gosh, I've been writing all these folk songs. I've been in this metaphorical woods and now I'm about to do pop, but I can still do it. You know what I mean? I'm still Bejeweled. I can make pop music. You kidding? You know what I mean? I have the most awarded pop album in history. Like, of course you can do it, Taylor. Like, go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And Bejeweled is the perfect, kind of return back.
The MV made me love it even more. It's so good.
Me too.
I had an appreciation for it, but after listening to it, I really appreciated it even more.
Oh, me too. The music video just heightened it 100%.
Also,
I agree there. Like, I loved it, but the music videos made me be like, oh no, this song's cool. Like, this song is cool.
Right, yeah. And also, the way that she's just like, she's given us what she has described herself as a gel pen song. But then we get like a lyric such as familiarity breeds contempt, which is like a play on absence makes the heart grow fonder, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who comes up with that and just places it in the middle of this kind of, and then goes on to the metaphor, don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart.
Penthouse of your heart, yeah.
Just in the middle of a song, just like that. And I'm like, oh.
And also, I loved talking about that lyric. I love the way she says it. Again, it has that kind of like aggression of
don't put me
the
in
Maroon
the basement.
Bridge.
Yeah,
the penthouse of your heart. It's the way she says it. It's just like, yes, I want to be there, not here.
Definitely.
I just love it.
But it's also so playful.
It's such a cool
really
song.
Plays into the glitter pen. Do you have a man? I don't remember. It really is.
It's like what Gorgeous wants to be. Like, Bejeweled is like a step
it's
up.
like Gorgeous.
You know what I mean?
She's injected something into her veins and she's gone out for the night.
Exactly. It's so cool, and I think the music video is just perfect. Absolutely perfect.
It's a very feel-good song, and the message, whether it be relating to her coming back to pop, whether it be from escaping a relationship in which you feel like someone tolerates you and nothing more, it definitely makes you feel like, no, you know what, I'm going to shimmer still.
I am capable, I can still do it, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so next is Labyrinth. And so obviously Labyrinth, going from Bejeweled to Labyrinth was a little bit like, bit of a shock. Yeah. But how do you feel about Labyrinth? What was your
Well, again, I'm ashamed to say at this point that at the beginning I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. But now it's like one of my favourites. Like, I do love it, yeah. I feel like the production in general on this album is so well done, and I've mentioned a few of the little standout bits and pieces for me, but when literally everything goes almost as if it was just like standing still, everything pauses for that moment in which she's like, so much stuff, so many things are going on, you're in a labyrinth. It does feel like she's leading you down a labyrinth, and then suddenly, oh no, I'm falling in love. And I don't know, it's just so good. In between all of this that's going on, I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it back around? I'm sorry, that gets to me every time. It's so good.
Yeah. No, I do love Labyrinth. Definitely, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's like I said, I haven't really got like strong. Like, I just like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like I haven't really got like
it's solid.
It's just a good song. I really like it. It's a solid track.
This is the only one that I was thinking that maybe you would have replaced as a track 5 because of how laid bare things are.
Maybe, but I think to be fair, I think maybe I've been harsh on your own kid, and I think it does deserve it. I think it does deserve.
Yay!
I think I'm changing my mind
mission
already.
for today is complete.
Yeah, I think I've been really harsh on it. I don't know, I think it just maybe wasn't...
No,
I think I was just initially like, that wasn't what I thought.
It has such a big pressure.
And then felt... I think that's the snow thing with snow on the beach. It was like, that wasn't what I thought. And then it was almost like,
This is it. They were both built up in very different ways, but they're both built up. Like, one was this amazing
But you're on your own
feature.
thinking about it, that final bridge, and that is just, it is gorgeous and does feel so, like, big and ethereal and just, like... And I've been seeing so many TikToks of people kind of putting videos of their life to it, and I was thinking, even the other day, I was like... It's honestly, I saw this, like, video the other day, and I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. I wish I could put loads of videos of my life to this song.
That sounds like a really cool trend.
I've been harsh. Kind of turning into that, people... It's almost like my TikTok's telling me, no, you're going to like this song, stop being an idiot. So no, I think, I've been harsh on it, and I think it does deserve track 5, and I think it is a very good track 5, and I've been harsh, and after we finish recording this, I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to appreciate it, because I do like it, and I think, Labyrinth would be the only other replacement, but I think thinking about it, You're On Your Own Kid does fit perfectly, especially with things like The Archer and stuff like that, that are more about a different kind of the other side of the track 5s.
That's fine. I understand
rather
that.
Than
it's
the kind of breakdown of a relationship of, say, Tolerate It and All Too Well and Dear John.
Exactly.
It's kind of a more looking into yourself and the sadness of self-loathing and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And realising, I can do it.
Yeah.
So no, but Labyrinth definitely would have been a replacement.
We get a lot in Labyrinth as well, and my favourite lyric...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back just like that, which I think is so important for her to say, firstly. But also I know that there's been a lot of fans, shall we say, that sometimes go on about Taylor talking about this moment in her life that she is talking about, 2016, this summer is the apocalypse. And I know that there were some people like annoyed by the fact that she keeps revisiting it. And I'm like, why would you be annoyed by that? This was literally one of the pinnacle moments in her life in which things
100%.
were just falling apart. Of course she's going to revisit it. And the way that she can revisit it so many times in such different lights and showing you a different part of it each time which is very vulnerable and scary to be doing, to revisit such a moment.
I think what is so weird about that whole period is that obviously she was going through one of the worst times in terms of her career and stuff like that, but then was falling in love. Yeah. And it must have been so, and I think that's why she revisits it, because it's such a pinnacle moment.
It is.
In terms of like everything that was happening, but also then everything that was also happening in her personal life with Joe, and, you know, the fact that that was when she kind of was meeting him, and, you know, that was when their relationship was developing. And I think that, it's such a kind of key time, and that year, even though it was probably one of the worst of her life, weirdly has kind of then, if that didn't happen, so many other positive things that have happened since probably would have never happened. You know, the fact that she got to retake ownership of herself with the whole snake thing, reputation, and at that point it was almost like, well, no one can say anything bad about me, because guess what, I am the snake. I've taken ownership of it, and I've made millions out of it now. So it's like, you know, and from that point onwards she had so much more confidence, I think. Definitely. With stuff like that, and just owning stuff and being like, whatever, if you want to call me a snake.
Which,
who cares?
She did have a pressure around her, though, to just act as if she had bounced back. Like, oh no, this doesn't faze me, everything's fine. When obviously, I'm glad that she is able to explore that, no, of course it fazed her. It would faze anyone. Can you imagine, like, everyone 100%. Being out for your neck, out for blood?
Seeming like the whole world hates you,
Definitely, which was so unfair in the start, but... Anyway, but I definitely think...
And feeling so misunderstood, because obviously at the time we were shown the whole reason for that was because of those videos, which were edited, and only then years later have we found out. So imagine knowing that isn't the truth. That isn't the truth, and it's like, that's not what happened, and then you can't prove otherwise, because every time you've tried to say that's not the truth, you've been called a liar, and then only years later, I'm so glad that full video came out. And that people realise, oh, she was telling the truth the entire time. Because why lie? You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, she's not a liar.
And I think this conversation segues perfectly into our next track.
Yes, Karma, our next track, which was a shock, because this is not... This feels like a lover track in a good way. It
does, yeah.
It feels like very kind of... I think this probably is definitely, in terms of the Midnights, in the lover era, in terms of the Midnight. Yeah. And I love it, though. I think that it's actually cooler. I think it's way cooler that it's not like a negative karma of like, look what you made me do, of kind of like, I got mine, but you're all going to get yours. It's almost like, you know what? I'm actually living my life so well. I'm having a great time. And that's Karma.
Yeah, you're so right. I'm so glad that she did this. Honestly, I know everyone was expecting something else, but we got that in the form of Vigilante Shit. We really did.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that this one is like, you know what? I'm so calm. Like, I'm just out here vibing. Everything is cool because you know, it's the epitome of your enemies will defeat themselves before you can even swing. So yeah, exactly. It's definitely...
it's really cool. I really love this song. It's kind of very upbeat and fun. I was slightly taken back initially by the Karma is my cat. I just love it, and it's just nice that it's like, aren't you envious that your Karma isn't just having a really nice life?
Exactly. That is it. And honestly, I get that, like, cats don't really love everyone, so you've got to be a certain type of person for a cat to love you.
Exactly, yeah.
So again, even that kind of lyric that I know people have been kind of commenting on has a layer to it, but for me, the best part is probably the bridge and what comes after the bridge. Like, firstly, she literally said, ask me why so many fade, but I'm still here. Like, she said that.
Yeah,
so
I thought that was quite brave, because it's like,
brave,
because it's true. It's
of course.
Like, you know, the records that she's breaking with this album, the streaming numbers that she's reaching, it is unreal. Like, and I always just think back to like Miss Americana when she's like, oh, this is going to be the last time that I'm going to be able to hold on to that success. And she couldn't have been more wrong, like, because she has been, each album since then has just got more and more successful. And it's just mental, the numbers that this album is doing. And it's interesting that she is right, because so many people, once they hit a certain age, and even Taylor has recently said with Jimmy Fallon about how she is deemed a geriatric pop star, but she's still here, she's still doing her thing, and you know, that's the Karma at the end of the day, that everyone predicted that her career was over back in 2016. And now in 2022,
here she is breaking, you know,
she's like massive records.
Sweet Like Justice.
And I love this song.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's such a cool message, I think, to be like, not to be vengeful about stuff and just let things happen and just enjoy the fact that actually your life is fine now. And that's what's better, is just let Karma do its thing. And like you said, is a reference, I think, to Long Story Short. And it is interesting how she references that a lot, actually.
I think this album is very self-referential. It has a lot of intertextuality with her previous works, which Taylor is very good at crafting and very good at doing, which already goes to show the wealth of her discography, just to be able to reference yourself. I like how she makes these very specific references, which give songs a whole new meaning, and you can open up another door into something else, like this one with The Long Story Short. Kind of vibe that it gives, not so much
and then like, I forgot that you existed. It kind of links back slightly to that.
That is true.
What's quite interesting is that obviously everyone thought there's been this whole album theory, hasn't there, of Karma, which I think the release of this is totally debunked.
Yes, I agree.
Like, you know, like, there might have been an album, but it wasn't called Karma, and I don't think, you know, she's debunked that.
I honestly really don't think there was an album. Like, that is my personal take.
I'm starting to feel that as well. What's interesting was that when she teased it, people thought, oh, this is one of the songs, you know, this is a Karma song, and obviously it is not, like, which was a little bit of a shock, because I think everyone went in with the idea, where we've been constantly told, oh, Karma, the lost album, you know.
Taylor's so brave for that. She literally knew that a lot of people were going to listen to this song, and she literally said, Karma is a cat. She's braver than I am.
My boyfriend Karma is a cat. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was not what people expected. But no, I do really love Karma, and it's definitely one that I keep going back to. A bit like Bejeweled. It's kind of the fun pop side of the album. So next, track 12 is Sweet Nothing. And this feels so folklore. So it's nice to have a friend in the best way possible.
I wrote that down. I was like, it has the little trumpets. It's nice to have a friend.
Yeah, it's just lovely. It's just such a lovely track. I really, really like this one, and it could fit quite perfectly on folklore. It's just lovely. I just think it's really nice. It's such a kind of...
It really is a nice little love song. And honestly, for me, which we can discuss, but side A, side B, I'm counting Midnight Rain as a side B for this, because from Midnight Rain onwards, I just feel like, I'm not saying like the top part of the album is bad, no way, but I just really love the run. Like, the run from Midnight Rain to Mastermind is just so good. And this one, for me, one of my absolute favourites. You know I'm a sucker for a good love song. the domesticity of the pebble. Does it miss Wicklow? Oh, my heart.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that lyric that is gorgeous, that lyric.
It really is.
Yeah, that is such a lovely lyric. It
so
is
sweet.
That's the thing, it's just such a nice song. You can't say anything bad about it, because there's nothing bad to say, because it's just so lovely. You would be a horrid person to turn around and say that it's a horrid song, because it's just lovely. I just really love it.
Then we have in the bridge, she gives us the lovely polysyndeton of adding, like, these people and this happening and that happening, and then, which I love when people do this in songs, you get all of that build up, and then she says, like, I can admit I'm just too soft for it, and she kind of whispers it, and
that is such a lovely lyric when she's I'm just too soft for all of it. I'm just like, oh, like, that's all I can say. I'm just saying it's lovely over and over
William
again.
Bowery has my heart.
Yes.
Once again.
Yes, that is interesting, because I previously have absolutely just loved any song that Taylor and Joe write together. I think that Taylor, obviously, as you know, we know, is an incredible lyricist. And I think Joe is pretty good himself. You know, honestly, I don't know how much input he's having, but he is pretty good. Like, the fact that he wrote basically the chorus of Betty, majority of Exile, especially the piano part.
I do think for this one, he was probably a big influence on the piano as well, because most of their songs together do seem to be based more around piano, and I think this one could have also originated. I'd love to hear a little backstory to it. I'd love that. Although I know
how it came about, whether they went. What I'd like to know is, because obviously with previous ones, especially Folklore, probably not so much with the Evermore tracks, but with the Folklore ones, it was almost like accidental that they wrote together.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she went in knowing that she wanted to write with Joe, and they sat down and wrote, or whether it was again slightly accidental.
Yeah, I'm feeling
it might have been
once again a little bit of an accident. I just think they're very creatively inclined, both of them in general. So, but either way, to be able to write this song together is just absolutely beautiful. I really, really love it. The little trumpets, the admission of I'm too soft for it all, but you don't ask anything from me. Beautiful, really beautiful.
So the final track on the standard edition of Midnights is Mastermind, track 13. And this...
What a way to end an album.
Insane. I love... Obviously, it totally debunks the lovely thing of...
Don't go there. Don't go to my precious baby.
It was all sewn together, and and it was like, everything, just fate happened, and we were pulled together. Whereas Taylor's turned around and was like, no,
actually,
what if I told you none of this was accidental? I planned it all.
Which is so funny, because it calls back to, I think he knows again. I am an architect, I'm drawing up the plans. But then she's like, no, actually, it's fate. And then she's like, actually, no, I'll go back to that. I was an architect. I did all of this.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, I love it. But to be fair, the fact that there is still an element of fate with it, because obviously the fact that they ended up in the same room and stuff like that, it's more that she was like, I want to be with you, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to be with you. Exactly. Yeah. But I just love it. And then Taylor's description of how she said that kind of the verses are like this good superhero, and then they wanted to make the chorus sound like this kind of villain creeping in of like, Mastermind.
It does sound like that. Because you get like the planets and the fates, they align to assess the equation of you, which again, lyricism. And then suddenly the beat goes like dun dun. What if I told you?
What if I told you none of this was accidental? Yeah, I just love it. And then the kind of final chorus of when it says like that I'm the master, the grin, and I'm the mastermind. Is really cool.
He just smiled. He looked up, grinning like a devil. Oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah, exactly. I did think that it's a reference.
Yeah, it is. Every time the end of this song, like also the bridge is like suddenly devastating out of nowhere. But then the end of this song, it just really gets to me. It's like he just smiles.
Yes, the bridge. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, the fact that she's like, no one ever wanted to play with me as a little kid. Yeah, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since. To make them love
me and make it seem.
But like the reason that I'm doing it is because I like you. You know what I mean? The reason I'm Machiavellian is no. Yeah, it is really sweet. But I love this song. This one is again a constant replay. Yeah, like 100%. Is really, really cool, and such a cool closer. Even though obviously then we did get the 3 a.m.
crazy
edition of Midnight, which was a shock.
Madness.
Because it was not 3 a.m. for me. It was 8 a.m. after getting up at 5.
I know.
But yeah, it was. This is such cool. I really, really like. I think the track listing
Brilliant.
On Midnight's is perfect. Yeah,
honestly,
100%.
really well done. Especially,
Me too, I think so.
That's, like I said, I'm obsessed with the second half especially. But the, like, Sweet Nothing leading to this one is just such an amazing way to close the album.
Yeah,
no,
I really do
think
like
this
the
is
track
such a good
listing
one.
on this album. And even though I'm in the shuffle stage, I could quite easily listen to it track by track because I just really like the way that it's laid out. I just think, I don't know, it just works really well. I think that's always people's criticism of Lover, and maybe why some people have issues with Lover is because they've always found the track listing a bit confusing maybe at times.
It is a bit messy.
Because it is a little bit whiplash at points. But then I think Folklore and Evermore, the track listing's perfect. Other than maybe Evermore, the start of Evermore, I wouldn't have put Willow, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
But I do think Midnight, is a perfect track list. I wouldn't change anything about. I think I would totally keep it as it is.
And now that we've got to the end, do we dare to give our kind of top 5 from the album?
I think to be fair, I could probably guess yours, and I think you could probably guess mine.
Probably,
I think we've been
from
quite
how
clear on the ones we love.
I think we're going to coincide in a couple.
I think a couple, yeah. I'm guessing a couple.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. So what is your top 5? Are you going to give it in top 5 of like, this is my favourite, this is my...
No, I don't think I can, because it's still, I'm struggling a lot. If you can, kudos to you, because I'm struggling a lot.
I can give top, but the rest probably mix about,
Like, I don't really have like one standout favourite from this album. Every time I consume the album, I'm listening to it start to finish, or going through a specific group of 3 or 4, 5 songs, which I think is, again, so well planned out by Taylor. Like, she knew that this was an album that would be enjoyed so much more as a full body of work. But anyway, the 5 that I'm really, really loving, and between them, I guess I can try. But anyway, the 5 in no particular order first: Mastermind, Sweet Nothing, Midnight Rain, Question, and Labyrinth.
Interesting.
Very romantic of me. And I really do think probably Sweet Nothing is definitely... Sweet Nothing and Midnight Rain, I think they're fighting for the top spot, both of them.
Interesting, yeah. I think they're good picks. Really good picks. Mine are very similar, but my top is Maroon.
Oh, wow.
I just it's that bridge. That bridge just has a chokehold over me.
Yeah.
Like, every time I listen to that song, I just can't get off the bridge. Like, I just go back and go back and go back and go back. And like, I'm obsessed in an unhealthy way with that bridge. So yeah, it's Maroon. The rest are probably in a different order, like not in, order. But Mastermind is another one of my favourites. Midnight Rain, Question, and Anti-hero. They're my other.
Okay.
Kind of the darker poppy ones are the ones I'm really kind of drawn to.
So we had 3. We coincided on 3 songs: Mastermind, Midnight Rain, and Question. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. And then obviously I've gone for more of like the romantic-y ones, and you've gone for more of the excruciating ones, which is very trademark us.
Oh yeah, it's very me. Always the sadder the better. You know what I mean? Rip my heart out, shred it up, and then put it back in, and then rip it back out again.
Yeah.
That's what I want,
Yeah, I'm the other way around. Like, please tell me a little story about a pebble, please. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's great picks though. Again, but honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with any combination of picks from this album. No, it's a very 100%. Solid body of work.
And to be fair, in 5 months' time,
it might change.
To be fair, my opinion will probably change, because Folklore and Evermore, 100%. Even recently, I re-listened the day before Midnight's came out. I listened to Evermore, and I was like, "Oh my god, this album is insane!"
Like, it really is.
Like, I knew it was incredible anyway, but it was like,
it hits you.
Re-listening to it, I was just like, "Gosh!" And then it was like, actually, I don't think that is my favourite song anymore. I think this one is, So I think, in a couple of months it'll probably change again. But I think Maroon is definitely is kind of got a solid spot at number 1 at the moment, because I just can't get off of that bridge. I'm obsessed. Absolutely obsessed.
Either way, now you know our favourites. Let us know your favourites in the comments on our YouTube video. We'll be very interested to see, some controversial opinions, some songs that perhaps we overlooked and you guys really want to defend. And something very interesting that I'm sure is going to happen is that these top 5 songs are going to be shaken up by the 3am and Deluxe Edition songs.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Which, that episode is coming, and I think it's going to shake things up, definitely.
Oh yeah, those 3am tracks were a shock, and majority of them belong on the standard edition of Midnight and could definitely take a couple of places, even though the thing is, everything's so good. That's the problem. It's like everything's such a high quality.
You don't want
that
to
it's
get
so
rid of
hard.
anything. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine how hard it is for her to pick, because it's like everything's such a good quality that it's like when you say, oh no, that one's better than that one, but the one that it's replaced, or the one that would, you know what I mean, it would remove out of my top 5, deserves to be in top 5 just as much. You know, it's like everything is just top quality, lyrics, sound, sonic, everything is just perfect. This album is really, really like top tier. I'm very impressed. It's just really good. And yeah, the 3am tracks were definitely not a letdown. They were quite the opposite. So now I'm very excited to rank those, discuss those, and I think, yeah, they would definitely shift about a couple of my top 5s, because there's some favourites in there, and I hope that we get a physical, because I feel like we're almost missing part of the album on the physical
I know
CDs and vinyl.
I do hope we do.
I'm like, where's some of those tracks?
I hope we do.
We've now come to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, especially if you'd like to hear our reactions to the 3am songs from Midnights. If you did enjoy, also make sure that you follow us over on our Instagram, which is @SwiftlySpokenPodcast.